So just how significant are these latest reported advances by Russian troops, and could a withdrawal by Ukrainian forces from parts of the Luhansk region signal something of a turning point in this conflict? Let's talk to Liam Collins, former US Special Forces colonel and a former advisor to Ukraine's military. Liam, welcome back to the programme. These will be very worrying developments for Brussels and Washington and London. You recently returned from Ukraine. What is your assessment of the situation there now?
Yeah, I mean, as everybody sees, right, the bulk of the fighting now has moved to the east, where it's really a war of attrition out there, where Russia is massing its combat power. And that's really the only advantage Russia has, right? It's got a larger military, many more systems. And so kind of this attritional warfare, they're going to have more success. But we saw earlier on, right, when it's maneuver warfare, right, that favors the Ukrainians who are much better trained, much more competent in terms of their leadership. And so it's not surprising to see Russia have some limited gains out there, right, as they mass this combat power. Ukraine has a smaller military, and so it can't take heavy losses. It will pull back rather than suffer heavy losses, so that's not a big surprise.
So are we seeing a turning of the page here? Do you sense a change in this conflict over the last few days or last few weeks?
Not really, right? If you really look over the last month, the focus has been on Severodonetsk, where Russia has made incremental gains. But keep in mind, that's taken everything they've had. They've thrown it at that to make these very slow advances. And during that time, getting less coverage, right, Ukraine has recaptured more territory in the Kharkiv and Kherson Oblast than Russia has gained in the Luhansk Oblast. So when you look at it, the larger scale of war, right, Russia has gained less territory than it's lost to the Ukrainians. And so you got to put it all into perspective.
For those of us from not a military background, I guess I'm trying to get to, is Russia winning the war?
No, I would definitely say Russia's not winning the war, right? They're having some tactical successes at great cost, right? They're suffering significant losses. You just reported on the Ukrainian losses, but Russia's suffering significant losses, exhausting some of their, weapon systems and ammunition. And so you got to look at it, right? They're having a tactical success there, but that doesn't mean it'll lead to operational or strategic success. As I mentioned, when they've lost territory in the Kherson Oblast and Kharkiv Oblast, and when I just was in and out of Ukraine last week, there are more Ukrainians entering back into the country than leaving. So that's a sign that the Ukrainian citizens don't see this as a Russian win.
British intelligence is reporting that Russia's momentum will slow over the next few months because of what it describes as the exhaustion of its resources. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I would say I tend to agree with that assessment. It's really hard to get a good understanding of how much Russia is exhausting in this fight, but without a doubt, it's significant, right? In terms of the ammunition, it seems like they've exhausted most of their precision-guided munitions that they didn't have many of early in the war, right? Their combat systems, right? We see the troops suffering significant losses of the troops based on who they're calling out to kind of mobilize for the fight to continue. And so it seems like this, right, as they get gains in Luhansk, if they're able to take all of Luhansk, they will probably hold there because they will be exhausted.
And there seems to be no sign of an early end to this conflict, does there?
No, without a doubt. I mean, this war is going to last, at least months, most likely years. I mean, keep in mind the simmering conflict in the Donbass started in 2014, and it continued on until this war started. So there's no reason to believe that this will end anytime soon.
Colonel Liam Collins, former US Special Forces colonel and former advisor to Ukraine's military, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.